It was a cold and rainy afternoon. Clouds had covered the sky like a thick gray blanket. The streets were wet. People walked quickly, holding umbrellas, rushing to get home. In the middle of the old town street, there was a small, quiet jewelry shop. Its name was written in faded gold letters, Harris & Co. Antique Jewels. It looked like a place from another time. Inside, the shelves were full of dusty velvet boxes, old clocks and glass cases filled with rare stones. The bell above the door jingled softly. A young woman stepped inside. She looked around 25, but her face showed pain much older. Her clothes were plain, wet from the rain. Her eyes were red like she had been crying for hours. Her hands shook slightly as she held a small wooden box against her chest. Mr. Harris, the owner of the shop, looked up from behind the counter. He was an old man, thin with white hair and sharp eyes. He had worked in jewelry for over 40 years and thought he had seen everything. But that day, something was different. The girl slowly walked up to the counter. She opened the box carefully, as if afraid it might break. Inside was a gold ring. Not very big. No diamond, no shiny stone. Just plain, smooth gold. But it had a strange glow, something almost magical. It looked old, very old, but had no dust, no rust, no damage. It was perfect. She placed it on the glass counter and softly said, "How much for this?" Mr. Harris leaned forward. His fingers gently picked up the ring. As soon as he touched it, something in his face changed. His hands froze. His eyes widened. For a moment, he didn't speak. Then slowly, he looked at her. His voice was low, careful, almost afraid. "Where? Did you get this?" The girl looked tired. Her voice was soft but firm. "It was a gift," she said. "I don't want it anymore." Mr. Harris stared at her for a long second. The shop had become very quiet. Even the ticking clock on the wall seemed to stop. "This is not just any ring," he said slowly. The girl sighed. "I don't care. I just need money, that's all." He turned the ring in his hand, looked inside the band. There was something engraved there. Tiny letters that most eyes would miss. Mr. Harris blinked hard. His hands started to shake. He placed the ring down and stepped back. This can't be real," he whispered. The girl's eyebrows rose slightly. "What do you mean?" He didn't answer her question. Instead, he asked again, "Who gave this to you? What was his name?" "Daniel," she said after a pause. His name was Daniel. Mr. Harris's eyes filled with sudden emotion. He walked over to a drawer, unlocked it with an old key, and pulled out a thick book covered in leather. He opened it slowly, his hands trembling. The pages were filled with old drawings and photographs of jewelry from the past. He stopped at one page. There, stuck in between, was a black and white photograph of a ring that looked exactly like the one in front of him. He showed it to her. "Do you see this?" he said. "This ring disappeared 30 years ago. It was part of something very rare." Ella stared at it. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Daniel gave it to me just 5 years ago." Mr. Harris's face grew. "Your newest, then your Daniel, isn't just anyone. He's part of a story that never ended. A story with pain, with secrets, with loss." Ella frowned. "Why are you acting like this? It's just a ring." But deep down, even she felt it wasn't just a ring. Ever since Daniel gave it to her, strange things had happened. People stared at it. Some tried to buy it. A few even followed her. That's why she had kept it hidden until today. "I don't want any part of this anymore," she said, voice breaking. "I just want it gone." But Mr. Harris shook his head. "No, this is not something you sell. This ring is worth more than gold, and I don't mean money." The shop lights flickered slightly, as if even the air knew something serious was happening. Mr. Harris looked her in the eyes, and for a moment, he wasn't just a jeweler. He looked like a man holding a piece of the past that could change everything. Then, he whispered something that made Ella's heart stop. This can't be just a ring." And the screen fades to black. The rain kept falling outside the shop, tapping gently on the windows. But inside, everything felt still. Heavy. Like time had stopped. Ella stood there, her arms wrapped around herself, watching Mr. Harris carefully. He stared at the ring like it was a ghost from his past. His old hands trembled as he touched the band again, reading the tiny hidden letters carved inside. Ella asked quietly, "What does it say?" He looked up at her. "It says, to E from D forever." Ella's breath caught. E and D, Ella and Daniel. Mr. Harris's eyes darkened. "No," he whispered. "It wasn't meant for you." Ella stepped back. "What do you mean?" Picked up the old photo again, the same one with the ring. But next to the ring there was also a picture of a young couple, a woman with curly dark hair and a man with sharp blue eyes. The woman wore the same ring on her hand. "That's Evelyn," Mr. Harris said. "She was my daughter." Ella blinked. "What?" Mr. Harris nodded slowly. "And the man beside her?" "Daniel. He was her fiancé." Her heart started to race. She had never seen Daniel's old photos. He hated being photographed. Said he didn't like his past. But the man in this photo looked just like him. Mr. Harris continued, his voice cracking. 30 years ago, they disappeared, gone without a trace. The police searched for years, but no bodies, no calls, nothing. Ella swallowed hard. "But that doesn't make sense. My Daniel. He found me 5 years ago. He helped me when I had no one. He was kind, quiet, mysterious, yes. But he never hurt me." Mr. Harris's face was filled with shock. "Then how is he still alive? Why does he still have this ring? And why did he give it to you?" Ella looked down at the ring. Her hands were shaking now, too. "I never asked," she said softly. "He just gave it to me one day, said it would protect me, that I should never sell it." Mr. Harris leaned over the counter. "You said you didn't want it. Why?" Tears welled in Ella's eyes. "Because he left. 2 months ago. No goodbye. No letter. Just vanished." Mr. Harris's face grew pale. "Just like before." There was silence. Just the sound of the rain and the clock ticking. Mr. Harris stood up suddenly and went to the back of the shop. Ella followed, unsure why. He pulled out a small wooden chest from under an old table. The chest was locked with a code. "I never thought I'd open this again," he said. He entered the numbers, 1993, the year his daughter vanished. Inside the chest were papers, old letters, news clippings, and something wrapped in silk. Another ring, nearly identical to the one Ella brought in, but cracked in the middle. Mr. Harris placed them side by side. "Yours is whole," he said. "This one was found in a river. It was broken. Everyone believed it belonged to Evelyn." Ella asked, "So how can both exist?" He shook his head. "I don't know. But something tells me the truth was never what it seemed." Just then, the doorbell jingled. Ella turned quickly. A stranger in a long coat walked into the shop. He had a dark umbrella and sunglasses, though it was gloomy inside. He didn't look like a customer. He looked like he was looking for something or someone. Mr. Harris gently slid the ring off the counter and placed it back in Ella's box. "Take it," he whispered, "and leave." "But why?" "Because if that man knows what you carry, you might not make it out." Ella looked at the stranger. He was watching her, too closely. Mr. Harris stood tall and walked to the front. "Can I help you?" he asked politely. The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I believe a young woman just came in to sell a ring," he said. Mr. Harris shook his head. "You're mistaken." The man tilted his head. "Am I?" Ella stepped back into the shadows behind the shelves. She didn't know who the man was, but every part of her body screamed, "Run!" As the stranger and Mr. Harris spoke in low voices, Ella quietly slipped through the back door of the shop, her box clutched tight. She didn't know where to go or who to trust, but one thing was clear now. This ring was never just a gift. It was a key, a warning, and maybe even a curse. Ella ran through the rainy streets, her shoes soaked, her hands cold, but her heart beating louder than ever. She didn't stop until she reached the small alley behind an old bookstore. She leaned against the wall, trying to breathe. Her fingers tightened around the small box that held the ring. She slowly opened it again. The gold ring sat in the center, quiet, innocent-looking. But her eyes caught something beneath it. There was a thin folded paper hidden in the box's lining. Her hands shook as she pulled it out and unfolded it. The paper was old, yellowed edges, but the ink was still clear. It was a short letter. If you are reading this, I am gone. This ring carries more than gold. It carries secrets, lies, blood. Do not trust anyone who asks about it. Ella froze. That could only mean one thing. Daniel. Her Daniel. Her eyes burned with tears again. What are you hiding from me, Daniel? She whispered. She remembered Mr. Harris's words. This can't be just a ring. The broken version in the chest. The stranger who walked into the shop. And now, this letter. Ella knew she couldn't go back to her small apartment. If that man was searching for her, it wasn't safe anymore. So she went to the only place she felt might still help her, the old city library. It was nearly empty. A quiet librarian, a few students. No one paid attention to her. She sat far back in a corner behind tall bookshelves. She searched for public computers. Ella typed, "Gold ring, hidden message, Evelyn and Daniel, 1993 disappearance." For a few minutes, nothing came up. Then suddenly, an article appeared. Mystery of the missing couple deepens. 1993. Young lovers Daniel Royce and Evelyn Harris vanished in the summer of '9. The article continued. A local historian believed the ring may have belonged to the Royce family, known for their wealth and strange traditions. Some say the ring was cursed. Others say it held codes used in underground dealings during wartime. That's when Ella noticed the photo beside the article. It was the same ring again. But this time it had a small mark she hadn't noticed before. A tiny symbol on the inside band. A snake eating its own tail. She looked at the real ring in her box, and yes, there it was. So small it was almost invisible. Her heart raced. She searched again. Snake eating own tail symbol. The answer popped up. Ouroboros, an ancient symbol of secrets, cycles, and rebirth. Often linked with secret societies. Ella whispered, "Secret societies. Daniel, what were you part of?" Suddenly, she felt a shadow over her. She turned fast. The stranger from the shop. He was there, inside the library, and he was walking straight toward her. Ella grabbed the ring and ran, again. This time, not just through the streets, but through her memories. Daniel once told her, "If you ever feel hunted, go to where we first met," she remembered. The abandoned train station. Back then it was their secret spot, a place only they knew. She ran through the rain, heart pounding, until she reached it. Old gates, rusted walls, no people. Only silence, and echoes. She slipped inside and locked the gate behind her. In the middle of the old station there was a bench. She sat, wet, tired, shaking, but safe, for now. She opened the letter again. This time she flipped it over. More writing. The snake means they're watching. They never forgot. If they find the ring, they'll do what they did in '93. Trust no one, not even my family. And if Mr. Harris is alive, tell him I'm sorry. Ella's eyes widened. Daniel was alive. And he had been hiding not from her, but from them. Who were they? Who were these people hunting a ring for 30 years, and now, hunting her? The silence was broken by footsteps, not one pair, but several. Coming from the dark entrance of the station, Ella quickly hid behind the bench, clutching the ring and the letter. Voices echoed, "She must be here. Find the girl. Get the ring." Her heart pounded like thunder. She had no weapons, no plan, just a ring, a mystery, and Daniel's warning. But one thing was clear now. This wasn't just about love. This was about life and death. Ella held her breath, hiding behind the old train station bench. Her heart pounded like a drum in her ears. Rain tapped lightly on the broken glass windows above. The voices grew louder. She's here. She couldn't have gone far. Ella clutched the small ring box to her chest. Her fingers trembled and her clothes were soaked, but her mind was racing. She thought of Daniel, his letter, his warning, trust no one. Suddenly, click, a piece of the wall beside her moved. A crack appeared in the stone. A secret door opened. Slowly, a hand reached out from the darkness, and a voice whispered, "Ella, come now if you want to live." She gasped and almost screamed, but something inside told her not to. The hand was firm but gentle. It pulled her into the wall. The secret door closed behind her just before a flashlight beam swept across where she had been hiding. Inside was total darkness. Then, a light. The stranger lit a small lantern. He was tall, in his 40s, wearing an old coat and hat. His beard was gray, his eyes tired. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said softly. "My name is Victor. I knew Daniel." Ella stared at him, frozen. "You knew him?" "Yes. He saved my life once, and now I repay that debt by saving yours." He led her through a narrow hallway. The air was cold and smelled like dust and secrets. "Where are we going?" she asked. "To the only place they can't find you," Victor said. "An old safe room, built by the Royces." They walked in silence. Then Victor stopped at a steel door. He typed a code into an old panel. The door opened with a heavy creak. Inside was a hidden underground room, old but safe. A table, some chairs, books, maps, candles. Ella sat down. Slowly, Victor placed a kettle on a small heater. "You must be freezing," she nodded. "I don't understand any of this. Why are people chasing me? Why is this ring so important?" Victor looked serious. "That ring," he said, "was never meant to be found again." He pulled out an old photograph and handed it to Ella. It showed a group of 5 people, young, standing in front of a large house. In the center were Daniel and a woman with dark eyes. "That's Evelyn," Victor said, "Daniel's sister." Ella blinked. But the article said Daniel and Evelyn vanished in 1993. Victor nodded. "Yes, because they tried to escape the Ouroboros Society?" Ella froze. "The same symbol in the ring?" "Yes," Victor said. "It's a secret group. Rich, powerful, ancient. They use gold rings like that to carry codes, secrets, even blood agreements," Ella whispered. "Daniel never told me." "He couldn't. If he did, they'd kill him. And now that you have the ring, they think you know the secrets." Ella looked down at the ring. It glowed faintly in the candlelight. "But I don't know anything." Victor stared into her eyes. "But you will. That ring was meant to be passed down. And now it's yours." The kettle whistled. Victor poured her a cup of tea. Then he pulled out a thin notebook, old brown, leather-bound. He placed it in front of her. "Daniel gave me this years ago," Victor said. "He told me to give it to the one who finds the bikes." Ding! Ella opened it carefully. Inside were pages of symbols, drawings, strange maps, and a message. "If you're reading this, I may not be alive. But the truth must come out. The Ouroboros Society is still alive, still hiding, still dangerous. But inside this book is their greatest weakness. Find Evelyn. She's not dead." Ella's eyes widened. "She's alive," Victor nodded. "That's what Daniel believed. She escaped, but no one knows where she went." A noise interrupted them, a loud bang. Someone had found the secret hallway. Victor stood quickly. "We have to go. Now." He grabbed a bag and stuffed the notebook inside. "There's another exit, but we have to be quiet." Ella followed him as they hurried through another tunnel. Behind them, footsteps echoed. Ella's hand tightened around the ring. Her heart burned with new purpose. She wasn't just running anymore. She was going to find the truth, even if it meant facing the darkness Daniel once ran from. The narrow tunnel ended at a rusty metal ladder. Victor climbed up first and pushed open a trap door. Rain poured down from the dark sky above. He helped Ella up and they stepped into an old greenhouse behind what looked like an abandoned mansion. This place was safe. Once, Victor whispered. We'll stay hidden here just for a moment. But as soon as they caught their breath, a shadow moved near the glass wall. Ella froze. A tall man stepped out of the darkness, wearing a black coat. Raindrops ran down. His face. Ella gasped. Daniel? The man stared at her with cold, sharp eyes. His face looked exactly like Daniel's. Same jaw. Same eyes. Same slight scar above the eyebrow, but something was off. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. Victor moved in front of Ella. Don't come closer, the man finally spoke, his voice low and calm. So, you finally gave her the ring. Ella whispered, Are you Daniel? He tilted his head and gave a small smile. Daniel is dead. Ella stepped back. Victor pulled out a small metal object from his coat, a flash bomb. He whispered, Run when I throw this. Don't look back. No! Ella grabbed his arm. Who is he? The man took another step forward. She has no idea, does she? Victor stared at him. You're his twin. Ella gasped. Daniel had a brother? Not just any brother, the man said. He was the face the world loved. I was the one the society used in the dark, Victor growled. You were their weapon, and proud of it, the man replied. Until Daniel stole what was mine. Ella's voice shook. The ring? The man nodded. That ring carries the only key to the safe house Evelyn disappeared into. She ran away with information that could destroy the society, but she left clues. Locked in that ring. Ella stared at the ring glowing faintly in her palm. Victor pulled her back slowly. We have to leave, the man said. Give it to me, Ella. I can protect you. She looked into his eyes, and for a moment she saw pain, but also lies. No, she said firmly. His eyes darkened. Victor pressed the button. The flash bomb exploded in a bright light. Ella ran through the back door of the greenhouse, following Victor as glass shattered behind them. They ran through overgrown gardens, through the broken gate, into a narrow alley. They didn't stop until they reached a small train station. Victor handed her a ticket. Go to East Pine. There's someone there who knew Evelyn. Her name is Mira. But what about you? Ella asked, shaking. Victor smiled. I'll slow him down. You have the ring, and the book. That's all that matters now. He pushed her onto the train. As the doors closed, she looked back. Victor stood still, watching her. As the man in black appeared behind him, the train pulled away. Ella sat down, soaked, shaking, heart racing. The ring was warm now, as if it knew where she was going. She opened the notebook again. A loose photo fell out. It was of Evelyn holding a baby, with a note on the back. Keep her safe, her name is Ella. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm Evelyn's daughter. The truth had just begun to unfold. The train reached East Pine just before sunrise. The small town was quiet and foggy. Everything looked sleepy, but Ella's heart was wide awake. She stepped onto the platform, holding the notebook and the glowing ring tightly in her hand. She had only one name, Mira. Victor said she would know the truth about Evelyn. Ella walked through the empty streets, her shoes soaked from the rain. She passed an old cafe and saw an old woman inside, wiping a table. Her hair was white, her back slightly bent, but her eyes were sharp, alert. Ella pushed open the door. A small bell rang. The woman looked up and froze. Ella stepped forward, slowly. Are you Mira? The woman walked closer, staring at her face. She didn't speak for a moment. Then softly said, You look like her. Ella blinked. Like who? Mira locked the door, pulled the blinds, and whispered, Come with me. They went to the back of the cafe, a storage room with a wooden desk, dusty shelves, and old files. Mira took out a locked drawer and pulled out a photo. It was of Evelyn, younger, smiling, holding a newborn baby. Ella gasped. That's me, Mira nodded. She left you with a family far away to keep you safe. But why? Ella asked, her voice cracking. Why all this? Why this ring? Why that man chasing me? Mira looked at her sadly and said, Because you were never meant to be born. The room went quiet. Ella stared at her. What do you mean? Mira sighed. Evelyn was part of a group. We called it the Circle. They fought a secret group known only as the Society. They were dangerous, powerful. They wanted to control minds, money, and people. Ella gripped the notebook tightly. Evelyn was one of their top agents, Mira continued. She found out about a hidden project, a plan to create the perfect human weapon. Ella's breath caught in her throat. You were part of that project, Ella, Mira whispered. The first successful child born from the Society's experiments? No, that can't be true, Ella said, shaking her head. I had a normal life, a normal school. Mira nodded. Because Evelyn stole you. She ran away when she learned what they planned to do to you. She faked your birth records, gave you to strangers, and disappeared. Ella's voice cracked. But who was Daniel? And that man who looks like him? Mira sighed. Daniel was Evelyn's partner, and the other man was his twin. He worked for the Society. Cold, dangerous, no heart. Ella opened the ring box again. The ring glowed faintly. Mira leaned in. That ring carries an encrypted code. The code leads to the location of the last safe house where Evelyn stored all her findings. She wanted you to finish what she started, to expose the truth. Ella asked, So what now? Before Mira could answer, the windows shattered. A smoke grenade rolled into the room. Mira pulled Ella behind the desk. Run, take the back door. Ella hesitated. No time, Mira shouted. Go, I'll hold them off. Ella ran through the smoke, pushed open the back door, and stumbled into the alley. Gunshots rang out behind her. Tears streamed down her face. But she kept running. She reached the forest behind the cafe and ran until she couldn't breathe. She looked down at the ring in her hand. It was glowing brighter now, pulsing. Ella whispered, What are you trying to show me? She flipped, opened the notebook, and saw a new line appear, like invisible ink coming alive. Go to the lighthouse. Everything waits there. Ella looked ahead. In the distance, past the trees, stood a tall, old lighthouse with a broken light at the top. Ella stood at the edge of the trees, staring at the old lighthouse. It looked like something from a dream, tall, gray, and cracked by time. Its windows were broken, and the giant light on top no longer turned. The sky was getting darker. Clouds rolled in. A storm was coming. The notebook in her hand shook, and the glowing ring pulsed faster, as if it could feel danger. Ella stepped toward the lighthouse. Each step felt heavier. Inside, the place smelled like rust and dust. The stairs creaked under her feet, but the notebook's words were clear. Top floor, behind the old glass. She climbed the narrow steps, one by one. At the top, she entered a round room with shattered glass panels and old machines. And then she froze. He was already there. The man in black. The one who looked like Daniel, but wasn't. He stood near the window, holding something shiny in his hand. I was hoping you'd come, he said coldly. You're smarter than your mother. Ella didn't answer. Her fists tightened. She stepped forward. He turned slowly, eyes cold like winter. Do you even know what's inside that ring? Ella stared at him. The truth. He laughed. The truth won't save you, but it will destroy everything we've built. He stepped closer. Give it to me now. Ella reached into her pocket, but instead of giving the ring, she tossed it toward the control panel behind him. It hit the metal, and a sudden light burst from the ring. A hidden mechanism clicked open. From the floor, a secret drawer slid. Out inside was a small drive glowing faintly. The man growled, You really are your mother's daughter. He pulled out a small gun. Ella's heart pounded. But before he could move, the stairs creaked again. Another figure appeared. It was Victor, breathing hard, clothes torn, but alive. He raised a piece of broken pipe and hit the man from behind. The gun fell. They struggled, shouted. Ella grabbed the drive and backed away. The man fought like a machine, but Victor was stronger than he looked. With one final shove, Victor pushed him against the wall. The man hit his head hard. and collapsed. Everything went quiet. Ella rushed to Victor. "You're bleeding." "I'm okay," he said, breathless. Just get the drive out of here." "No," Ella said, standing tall. "We do this together." She placed the drive inside an old terminal hidden in the control panel. The screen turned on. Lines of data flashed. Then, a message. "Welcome, Evelyn. Final upload in progress." Ella whispered. "She left this for me." Suddenly, a radio crackled from the man's coat. A voice said, "Is the girl down? Report." Ella grabbed the radio and replied with a steady voice, "She's gone, forever." Then she crushed the radio under her foot. The upload finished. The drive sent the truth. To the cloud, to the world, to every news source Evelyn had trusted. Secrets, names, videos, experiments, proof. It was over. Ella and Victor looked out through the broken window. The sun began to rise through the storm clouds. "I think it's done," Victor said quietly. Ella held the ring close. "She saved me. Now I saved her." They walked out of the lighthouse together. The world had changed.